Blacks in technology.
Blacks in technology. Blacks in technology. Blacks in technology. Blacks in technology. Blacks in technology.
Welcome, everybody, to the 60-second episode of the Big Tech Talk, the Blacks in Technology audio podcast. We are back 2 weeks in a row, this is. We did a podcast last week. It actually went over pretty well. We've got over 100 and something listens already on that podcast, so that's pretty big. We are broadcasting live, at least Iori is from StrangeLoop. I'm your host, Greg Greenlee, along with my co-host, Iori Selassie. What's going on, Iori?
Yo, what's up, St. Louis? We in the house.
The St. Lou, the Lou, that's what they call it, the Lou.
Yeah, but I'm a child of that.
You have to reference it as the Lou.
I don't know about that. I don't want to get in trouble.
Yeah, you might have Nelly come and knock at your door. You don't want that.
Yeah.
Anyhow, we are blacksandtechnology.net. You can check us out at blacksandtechnology.net, www.blacksandtechnology.net. You can follow us on Twitter at Black and Technology, and that's BLKINTECHNOLOGY. We're also on Facebook, facebook.com/Blacks and Technology. You can check us out on LinkedIn as well under Blacks and Technology. We have a group there. And if you're want to tweet us any questions or anything, just use the hashtag BigTechTalk, and we will get to your questions. What's going on? Who is Blacks in Technology? I go through this every week. I'm not going to go through it this week. This is more of a casual sit back and have a beer and talk the talk. And so this is what this is going to be. I'm not going to go through the whole spiel of who is Blacks in Technology. If you listen to our podcast before, you know who we are, you know what we're about. But I will say, if you want to partner with Blacks in Technology, or you want to sponsor any of our podcasts, you can send us an email, sponsorships at blacksandtechnology.net. We are also always looking at forming new partnerships and opportunities to assist our members with their continued professional growth and development. So if you want to partner with us, send us an email to partnerships at blacksandtechnology.net. Any other general inquiries, you can send an email to info@blacksandtechnology.net. So what else going on with blacksandtechnology.net? Member-wise, we have broken the 1,400 member mark. We are like 1,450 or 1,415 or something like that. Last time I checked, we're over 5,000 Twitter followers, well over 1,700 LinkedIn members. We're growing. I love it. It's a good thing. Let's continue the trend. What's going on, Iori?
Yeah, man. You know, we're out here in St. Louis at StrangeLoop. I've been looking forward to this conference all year, so I'm really excited to be broadcasting live from St. Louis. This conference is really awesome. I really want more people to be able to experience this. And
I was supposed to be there.
Yeah, man. Let's not even go into that. You're going to get sad. You're going to get upset.
No, I am getting upset. Already I'm getting upset. I was supposed to be there and didn't work out. And yeah. So all our listeners out there, if Greg sounds a little cranky today, you know why, because he wants to be here at StrangeLoop. But it's going really well. They have done an incredible effort to really increase the diversity here. I came here last year, and I don't know. I mean, there were probably maybe like 20 girls, 20 women, and I think that there were a total of 3 African people of African descent, and something like that. And this year, there's a lot more, and so. Nice.
Yeah, there's a lot more, and you know they did a great effort around issuing scholarships for people, including travel vouchers. I mean, they really wanted to say that this is important to us, and you know, developing the future of programming, developing the future of systems of how we think about technology. There's a lot of philosophy that goes into tech. It's not just code. And so I think the great thing about conferences like these is that we get to think in an abstract nature. We get to think about what problems are the languages solving, and to be able to have a diverse group of people involved in that is really important and critical to our future. So I just want to give them a shout out, Alex Miller, and
shout out to Alex and Bridget. Yeah.
Yeah. Y'all are awesome. So that's what's going on here. We had some really amazing keynotes so far. Today we had gentleman who created Erlang. I mean, it's like, man, it's crazy. I mean, it's crazy.
You know what? And we're so caught up in this episode and the excitement. This is our summer end splash episode. This is where we transition in the fall. The leaves are changing. The weather is changing. It's getting cooler. We're throwing on our jackets, outerwear. We're accessorizing. At least I am. And so we wanted to make this podcast kind of a transitional podcast where we're going into the fall, and we're going to talk about some new things that's going to be going on with Blacks in Technology for the new year, and new events that are happening or will be happening in the upcoming future. And, you know, we're so excited about all this stuff that we forgot to introduce Daphne LaRose as our guest tonight. Daphne LaRose is, hey, Daphne, she's the founder of Black Female Coders website. She's actually a Big Tech Talk alumni. She was on one of our earlier episodes. And so we're happy. She actually, you're out in San Francisco now, in the Bay Area, right?
I am. I live in Oakland, but I work in the city in San Francisco.
She is the traveler, because last time you were on the show, you had actually moved from somewhere else to Lexington, which was about an hour and a half away from me.
Yes.
And now, and then you went, and then you went, and you were like in some type of coding school, like some boot camp or something like that. Tell us about that.
No, it wasn't a boot camp, but so it's basically it's called Hacker School. It's a program for developers, so you have to be a developer going in. But it's awesome. It's a developer paradise, basically. You just go in and they provide a co-working space for you, and you build whatever you want for 3 months, which is incredible. And then they bring in people from the open source community to work alongside you, and you can contribute to really awesome projects, or you could just work on whatever you want on your own. I spent quite a bit of time doing some systems work, so building a terminal shell in C and working on fixing a bunch of bugs for this new programming language called Julia. And so, it was really, really fun. That happened in New York. So, yes, I move around a lot. Last time we spoke, I was in Kentucky, and then I was in New York, and now I'm in the Bay Area. So, country traveler, I guess.
Definitely is the truth. Just put that out there. Because I've come across a lot of people, and they are not doing the type of stuff that you are doing, and I think that it's fantastic that you're doing this stuff. That you went to this coding academy and experienced, working with open source software, and you say you were doing some stuff with System V.
So not System D, but I was working basically. So when you open up a terminal and you can put in various commands to access your file system and all of that, I built something that replicated that. Like, I rebuilt that, basically. And so, you launch my program, because at the end of the day, the terminal is just another program, right? So you launch it, and, you can type commands and access your files and open stuff, read stuff. You can, do anything, basically anything you wanted to do with, your normal terminal, you could do with my program as well.
And is this only available, or is this available is this a Windows application, or is it in Linux? Or
so I built it in Linux. I built it in Ubuntu. However, it's not necessarily cross-platform. Yeah, I'm a Linux person, so that's my thing. But it's available on my GitHub.
I knew there was a reason I liked you.
If you just go to github.com/lifeisbeatgood, all one word, can access it. It's called Dash. And yeah, it's really good. It's really awesome. I welcome any contributions. If anybody wants to make any pull requests, I'd be happy to work with them. But yeah, just stuff like that. I wanted to see what else is out there. I had been, before I started hacker school, and when I was working in Kentucky, I was working as a software engineer for a printer company, and it was really fun. I was writing not quite driver level, but really low level security code all in C, and I'd done that for almost 2 years. And it was really interesting work, and I had a really good time doing it. However, I wanted to see what else the field could offer me. Just because, CS is such a broad field, and there's always so much going on, and there's so many new and exciting and fun and innovative stuff happening just around the world even. And so I wanted the opportunity to kind of dabble in that. And Hacker School provided the perfect opportunity for me to do that. I could come in any day and I'd be like, actually, I want to work on this. And they're like, awesome, go do it. And I'm like, awesome. And I would just sit at my desk all day with some coffee and a donut and just code all day, and it was amazing. So yeah, it was really great. And yeah, it was awesome because it led me to finding my current job, which I work at a startup in San Francisco. It's a startup called Affordable, and essentially what they did was build a platform that allows iOS apps to run on Android phones. And so it's awesome because it's awesome low-level embedded systems work, which is my specialty. So I get to come in and hack on operating systems and get stuff running and hack on their platform and make Objective-C work on an Android phone, which is pretty dope.
Again, Daphne is the truth, everybody. That's awesome.
Yeah. I have to add my 2 cents to that, Daphne, is the truth statement, because I was so shocked that I went so long, having not met Daphne since she's been here in the Bay, and we sat down for coffee, and man, we just had the most awesome conversation. And actually,
it was wonderful.
Yeah, Daphne, you really inspired this talk here too, because I was talking with Greg, and I was just letting him know, what happened when we had a conversation and how awesome it was. And I was like, you know what, we just need to do a podcast that's not necessarily focused on any central core topic, but just let's just talk about what's awesome. Let's just talk about what's good, because that whole diversity conversation sometimes kind of brings us down a little bit.
Sure.
And I was like, let's do that. And I was like, man. And that's what happened when I were talking. Actually, I got that idea, and I said, Daphne, would you come on and just talk, just chill and kick back and just have a quick chat? She was like, yeah. And I was like, no.
That's exactly how it happened. Actually, almost verbatim. Yeah, no, I agree with you, Aori. And that's what we were talking about, at our coffee is exactly that. I mean, I can keep it real about the issues. I can keep it real about my own experiences, about what's happened. But, at the same time, that conversation also can get very heavy, and it turns very much into a Me Too kind of situation. And let's all just talk about the trauma that we've experienced, right? But the conversation doesn't always have to be so negative. In fact, it's better if, we can focus a little bit more on the positive and be like, yeah, I'm a Black woman in engineering, but at the end of the day, I go to work and my coworkers see me as an engineer first. And let's talk about that, right? And how important that is. And yeah, it took a lot of work in the beginning of my career, throughout my studies, et cetera. And you always have to go through that period of, put your head down, work as hard as you can, build up your street cred. But at the end of the day, you reap the rewards, right? And so I feel like focusing on that aspect of the conversation is really important. I gave a talk about 2 weeks ago. A very good friend of mine is a teacher at a high school in Oakland, a high school that is in far, far east Oakland that is predominantly students of color. And she asked me to come in one Friday and speak to the kids for an hour about what I do as a computer scientist. And it was probably one of the most amazing experiences I've ever had. It was incredible. I went in and I talked about how I got into it and, why I do what I do, and the fact that, I got into it much later than normal CS people, and what it's like. They asked me some tough questions, too. 17-year-olds can ask some really hard questions. But they asked me, straight up, they're like, what's it like? What's it like being a woman in tech? What's it like being a Black person in tech? Do you face that stuff? Have you dealt with these kinds of things? And And I was like, yeah, I have. Like, it's real, you know, it definitely happens. But, you know, you just got to change your perspective instead of focusing on, you know, oh man, this happened to me and it's awful and it sucks. How about like, okay, yeah, this happened to me, but how can I make it better? How can I make myself even better? And like through making myself better, how am I even changing the way that other person sees me? And that's how they see other people who may or may not look like me, right? And so focusing on that aspect of it is what I was trying to get those kids to do. And hopefully they'll carry it with them. We'll see.
You know what?
Yeah, I love that.
And exactly. I want to chime in on that because there was a discussion that we were having on LinkedIn not too long ago, and it kind of touched on what we're talking about right now. And the discussion was around having a big conference. And so I came at the, you know, I chimed in on the conversation, and I was like, well, what, you know, I've thought about having a big conference, but what I don't want to happen is I don't want it to turn into, you know, a conference about just about diversity. I want it to be. I don't want to preach to the choir. I don't want that to be the premise of us having a conference, right? And you know, I wanted to have some quality talks about technology. And I always say, I have this saying that I always throw out there, and it's, you know, if we want to change the perception, then we need to change the conversation. And the conversation cannot always, at least for me, it can't always be just totally focused on just the diversity aspect. We need to start having these conversations about technology, about building, about creating, and from a, you know, even from a low level standpoint at times, you know, it doesn't always have to be that low level, but those are the conversations. When you go out to these websites, and that I frequent quite often, that's what people are talking about. They're talking about low level technology, about building stuff, about, you know, keeping stuff up on the web, about scaling, about you know, distributed systems, all that stuff. And I understand that they don't have the same issues and problems that we have in technology, but at the same time, it's, you know, I would like to see more of that talk, you know, more of that conversation being brought into our community, which is really the reason why Blacks in Technology even exists, is because I wanted that type of community and that type of conversation to happen within our community.
Absolutely. And, like, you know, I was telling Ari this, too, and I think, Greg, you and I have spoken on this as well, but, like, you know, for me, a lot of it also comes down to visibility, right? And you talk about this, Greg, all the time. I know that that's one of the key mantras of Blacks in Technology is visibility. And, you know, I think that's so incredibly important. And it doesn't necessarily need to be visibility in terms of being very, you know, outspoken about the diversity issue. Really, what I've come to realize, especially throughout my travels and all of the stuff that I've done, is that even more important than that, sometimes just your presence, oftentimes just your presence is even more important than you being outspoken about your presence, if that makes sense. So just the fact of me being an engineer and coming into work and doing what I do every day means that sometimes I don't necessarily need to mention the fact that I'm Black and I'm female, because that's obvious to a lot of people, right? That's the first thing they tend to see. But if I can come in and just be an engineer and be a really good engineer, and then, you know, be visible so that those coming after me and those who are also working in this space with me can be like, oh, wow, this person has contributed so much from a technical perspective, and they happen to look like me, and they've faced some of the things that I've faced. I find personally to be a lot more powerful than just speaking on the diversity aspect of things.
Yeah, what do you think, Iori? I like to hear.
I agree. I'm like, yeah, y'all just rocking it out. I talked to Daphne about this as well. I'm reading this book by Malcolm Gladwell. I have the biggest crush on Malcolm Gladwell. Malcolm is
I'm writing this down.
So he wrote this book called David and Goliath, among many other awesome books that like Black people everywhere should make sure that they read. People asking to say it, especially if you're in in sort of like the Western countries, nations. But David and Goliath is all about, seeing the world for what it really is and not letting that initial your initial perception of a situation dictate your strategy around engaging with that situation. And he used David and Goliath as the key example, wherein, David was huge. And so if you come at David, and try and fight Goliath was huge. And if you come at Goliath and try and fight him hand to hand, you're going to lose. He's going to grab you and crush you. He's going to knock you out, right? Mm-hmm. But if you play your own game, if you stand back and you're like, you know what, I'm faster. I can see very well. I'm very accurate with my, sharpshooting capabilities. I can take him out. I can take him out. I can knock him out long enough that I can run over and chop his head off. And that's what David did. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not telling people to chop people's heads off. I'm just saying. We gotta. What are what are our unique advantages in this situation? And in some cases, we may not have very many of them. And I think what programs like Blacks in Technology, Black Growth Code, Black Founders, all these different organizations, Sisters, Anita Board, NC WIT, all these organizations are helping to develop that unique kind of advantage, that unique kind of community that you can go into and see your power and develop your power so that you can go out and be your unique self and just own it. So, that's what I see happening. And I'm very proud about what is going on in our community. And so I'm really excited to talk about some of the things that have happened so far this year that have been, I think will be historical in the future. Well, many of them definitely are historical. And I think that we'll look back on them in the future and say, wow, these moments were catalyzing for, our future.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So with that, what do we have going on? What's going on in our community right now?
Yeah, if I were to start, I would say that one, we have with the different communication networks that we've created and the collaboration networks that have been connecting people from west to east, to the Middle East and Africa, right? Folks are collaborating in a way today that we didn't before. And, many groups that are, I would say, elite groups have established these communication and collaboration networks from long time back, right? I think, what was the one we were talking about, Greg, the one you were big on? Benjamin Franklin started that one.
Oh my God. Now, you just have to.
It's like a mastermind group. I can't really think of it.
Oh, yeah.
But it's really big. But anyway, Junto. So, there have always been these groups that have established these collaboration frameworks. And that's where things like our Declaration of Independence come out of. They come out of people, getting together and collaborating. And what I see happening now is that, the most passionate people, I don't want to say the best and brightest, but the most passionate people across our country and world are now getting together, working together to make incredible experiences for people that are transformative, that are having a multiplier effect on communities. And out of that, we're seeing things like StrangeLoop, making a concerted effort to bring additional diversity to its events. Dreamforce, the largest technology conference in the world, having a focus on diversity as well. And then we're seeing these hackathons happen all over. We did the Black Male Achievement Hackathon in February, and then in July we had the Essence Hackathon. And I think we should sort of go through these and just talk a little bit more about them in detail. And then we have the My Brother's Keeper Hackathon happening in Philadelphia, which is huge. My Brother's Keeper is President Obama's initiative to support men of color in succeeding in our communities. And that's just like touching the surface. We haven't even talked about the brain trust that we've had with 62-bit Tech Talk podcast. Wow, just go through that. I'm
Amazing. Yeah, it's also, I heard that number 62, and I was like, wait, what? Because I'm pretty sure, like, right, last time we did the podcast, like, I was on it, I think it was in the 30s, like, high or low 30s, like, oh, my God,
yeah, it was
time. Time flies.
Yeah, we've been putting in work.
Yeah, I mean, it's incredible. And, I mean, to piggyback off of what you're already saying, like, it's amazing to me, all of the events that's happening, all of what's going on, but it's been really awesome for me having moved out here to the Bay just to see what's going on locally, right? So it was an explicit decision on my part to live in Oakland and not in San Francisco. No shade towards San Francisco at all whatsoever. It's a beautiful city. However, you know, I really wanted to be around people of color primarily, and also people that seem incredibly gung-ho about making Oakland like an even better place, right? And so what's been really awesome is I've been getting involved with a lot of the local tech and arts communities that have been active around Oakland. And so it's been really interesting to me to see the spaces. There's one called LOL Space, Liberating Ourselves Locally Space, and it's essentially a hacker space for people of color. And it's really awesome. It's in East Oakland, and they have hack nights every Monday, and people come from all over and just work on stuff. And it doesn't even have to just be tech people. It's a combination of people who bring their tech skills, but also local community organizers, artists, designers, whoever wants to like build whatever they want to build, make whatever they want to make. They're having like a session next week where everybody's learning about wikis and how to edit them and how to build their own and whatnot. And so like it's really cool that there's that initiative. There's another initiative that I got involved with pretty recently over the past couple of months where they are trying to, it's called Pseudomesh, and they're essentially trying to build open internet for all of Oakland. And so that's been really amazing for me because like I can directly apply my tech skills to that. And so I've gotten involved with the group that's working on that. And I mean, it's a fantastic project. They're working on setting up routers all over the city of Oakland so that people can just have free internet access and not have to rely on internet service providers. And, you know, barring any like huge natural catastrophe or whatever, like there's still that network still allows for connectivity in some way, shape, or form. And so it's like really amazing to me to see all of the efforts that are going into like, you know, basically people using their skills to better their own community. And I think that's really wonderful.
Hold on. That was so huge. I don't think people realize how huge that is. I mean, you know, we've been talking about the digital divide since, you know, the 1990s, since I was a kid. And, you know, some folks have said that the digital divide is no longer because of the access to smartphones, et cetera. But what I believe is that the divide is wider than ever. And unfortunately, though, the divide is wide with everyone. It's not just affecting people of color. It's
right.
It's everyone who thinks of themselves as just a user. They don't understand all the complexities of what's going on with this incredible machine that is the internet. And so with I mean, not even scratching the surface around net neutrality, but a movement so powerful as, you know, creating open, you know, internet and Wi-Fi access points, like that's huge.
Yeah, it's incredible. I'm really proud to be part of that effort. They've been, I don't remember how long they've been since. I want to say at least a year and a half. But it's incredible. And, like, it's cool because I, you know, doing the kind of work that I do day to day at my normal job, it's really awesome being able to take those skills and try to apply that there as well. And knowing what the cause is, right? The whole point is to get internet access, especially to communities where it's very limited, right? And I think that's wonderful.
Yeah,
that's
great.
When I first founded Blacks in Technology, which was a little bit over 4.5 years ago, and there was like, at least from what I knew, there was like nothing in this space at all. There were probably a couple of organizations that I knew about, and that was it. And to see where this has grown from then to now is incredible. I remember, having Kimberly Bryant on one of the earlier podcasts, and this is when she was just doing her thing out in Oakland, and that was it. And now Kimberly is, pretty much blown the doors off the hinges with Black Girls Code, and now she's everywhere. I remember having, I can't remember Jason's last name, but, even with Hidden Genius Project, and just all these different organizations that I see going on now. And I remember there was a time where and maybe it was because I just didn't know about them, but I can't remember a time where there was this many organizations, where there was this big of a movement happening within technology, tied into our community. And I think it's great. We have, I want to mention like Urban Tech Weekend that's going to be happening out in Houston with Andrew West and NBitLo, which is I think it's the National Black Information Technology Leadership Organization. I mean, BDPA, you got Black Girls Code, you got Hidden Genius Project, you got Yes We Code. Countless, initiatives that are going on that are, really passionate about changing things and changing our landscape and within our community and within technology. So I think that's awesome.
Good. I mean, what else do you say? What else do you say to that level of awesome? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's one of those things where it's just like, okay, period. Like, and no one else can say it.
Exactly.
Love it. I love it.
So, Ayori had mentioned, we mentioned StrangeLoop, and we mentioned their initiative towards increasing diversity at their conference. But I do want to shout out PuppetConf. That's going to be happening this upcoming week. It's going to be happening between the 20th and the 24th in San Fran. Because PuppetConf, I approached them, and when I approached them about partnering with them in order to bring, Blacks in Technology, some members from our organization and from our network to PuppetConf, they jumped on it immediately. And they were like, when I had that first conversation with them, they were like, oh, we've been waiting for something like this. I'm glad that you reached out to us, because we've been, trying to find out how we can try to increase diversity at our conference. And not only did they, give out some passes to their conference to the Blacks in Technology community, but they also started their own initiative to try and bring more underrepresented communities and people from underrepresented communities to their conference. So I want to shout out to them for even taking that up. And did somebody just quit?
Oh, I'm still here. I don't know.
I think that was Ayori. Ayori, are you there? Oh, she signed off. Anyhow, so I want to shout out to PuppetConf, because they did a great thing in offering that. They offer some travel scholarships as well as admission to the conference. If you don't know about PuppetConf, it's going to be happening again on September 20th through the 24th in San Francisco. It's a 5-day event. It's organized by Puppet Labs. There's a configuration management tool. I think they're based out of Portland, Oregon. And it's a 5-day event. First 3 days is strictly training to, they train people to use Puppet in order to be able to automate their infrastructure. So it's all about, when it comes to Puppet and, DevOps and system automation and configuration management, that's what they're all about. The last 2 days are keynotes, there's talks, there's demos, certification testing. So it's going to be a great conference. Blacks in Technology is going to be there. I'll be out there Saturday. I'll fly in to San Fran. I'll be out there till Thursday. So we're actually trying to organize like just a small networking event, and I'll put that out there on the internet and on the site and tweet about it. But that's going to be going on. We'll be at PuppetConf. I think there's about 7 or 8 of us that are going to be at PuppetConf as well. Some people that have won contests with Blacks in Technology. We've given out passes to people within our community and within our network, so they're going to be there as well. So it should be a fantastic time.
Okay.
Yeah, I had actually had a drop for a sec, but yeah, I want to also sort of underscore sort of the importance, the strategic importance of this organization in supporting folks and getting access to these different technology conferences. It's one thing for a conference to say, hey, we're going to provide scholarships. It's a totally different thing than for them to be able to get the word out to people who will specifically be interested, and also to be able to make people feel comfortable even saying, you know what, yeah, I really could use a hotel voucher, and if I didn't have that, I wouldn't be able to go. And to be able to, sort of like let down their guard and like just go ahead and like take it, because I feel like we're such a prideful people that we don't like, especially folks who have fought hard and gotten to great places in their career. They definitely don't want to like appear as if they're taking handouts ever. So that's something really important to be able to help people to, feel comfortable coming in, and also, have different opportunities. Like, for example, if you're coming in and you're speaking at a conference, you're not going to have, a feeling of, I'm taking a handout, because you're speaking there.
Yeah.
You are playing a part. You're playing a central role. So sort of these are some of the things that I see, Blacks in Technology as been having, been a sort of an anchor to have developed a relationship with these different tech companies, but then also to be sort of that supporting element to say, you know what, you should be speaking. Here are some things that you should look at. Here are some things, areas of expertise that you have that they're interested in, and, bridging those relationships so that people will feel more comfortable getting there however they need to get there. So, I just think that that's a great thing that's been happening here at BIT lately.
Yeah, and, that was a goal of mine going into this year, is really to, and it was a goal of the organization as a whole, really to reach out to these different tech organizations and come to them and say, hey, this is an entire network that needs to know about what you're doing, needs to know about the technology and in your organization, and I would like to bring that to our community so that we both benefit. And Ayora, you touched on something very real, and I think that people shouldn't look at it as this handout. I think that people need to look at it as they're setting a precedent as well. One of the biggest things that I hear when it comes to technology conferences, and I've had this talk with a couple of people in our chat room, is, having people of color at these technology conferences or not seeing people of color at technology conferences, I should say, being one of the barriers for other people of color being at a technology conference, almost like a chicken and an egg scenario where, you don't see people of color at these technology conferences, so you don't know if you are even welcome, if you feel comfortable going to these. But if we continue with that mindset, if we continue thinking like that, then we're never going to get to these technology conferences where there's an abundance of knowledge and abundance of information that needs to be shared. And so don't think of it as, people as you're accepting this. Think of it as, hey, I'm setting a precedent. I'm right now I'm taking a stand, and I'm going to this technology conference, and hopefully other people will take notice of what I'm doing and they'll follow suit. So now we're getting these numbers and we're getting these people to come out to these technology conferences.
And also, like, on top of that, I second that completely and wholeheartedly. And I think that in addition to that, and more at like a fundamental level too, oftentimes it also comes down to, and not even just people of color faces, but like, you know, this idea that I don't have anything to contribute, so why would I go, right? And so, like, getting us, you know, collectively at these conferences is, you know, it's not just, you know, we go and receive a lot of information just by going, but we're contributing too. Our presence, not only is our presence a contribution in terms of, you know, just being able to see each other and have that kind of support visibly at the conference, but also, I mean, we've all worked really hard to get to where we are, and we have knowledge to share equally. And so, you know, that's what makes conferences so great, is that, like, yeah, there are speakers and you learn from these speakers, but a lot of it also comes within the just really random interactions, bumping into people, having conversations, networking, meeting people in the industry doing other stuff, and they get to meet you, and they get to hear about what you're doing and how you're contributing.
Yeah.
And you know, this and it's interesting because this is something that I hear about a lot, especially when it comes to the conversation of women in engineering. And it's always you know, there's this misconception that the assumption is that you have nothing to contribute, right? You obviously are not an expert. You don't know as much as everybody else in the space. You're coming into programming because of XYZ reasons, and you're not as experienced, blah, blah. And I've dealt with it. I still, sometimes, depending on what space I'm in, continue to deal with it, right? But being able to have the confidence to be like, no, I'm here for a reason, and I am an authority on something, and I have something to say. And I may not consider myself an expert, but I'm knowledgeable, and I'm knowledgeable enough to contribute. And so, like, if we can help that mentality propagate, then, you know, we're not just going to the conferences to be visible. We're going there because we have something to share too, and our presence is equally important.
Yeah, I got to add something to that. 2 points. One, I've noticed that when I go to conferences, when I go to tech conferences, that I tend to be attracted to sessions that are led by women. Probably half of the sessions, you know, like if I were to look at it, like more than half of the sessions that are being presented by women, I would be inclined to attend, not because the speaker or presenter is a woman, but because of the topic itself. Something about these topics, they're understanding and it's resonating with me. It's resonating with other people as well, because there are plenty of guys attending these talks as well. But my point is to say is that when you are, you know, a woman or a person of color, you really have to, like, push yourself to go ahead and up there and speak and present on something, because it's going to, you don't know what effect it's going to have until you've done it.
Totally.
And you just have to try it. And then my second point is I can't wait, Daphne, for you to give your talk on internet governance and free and open internet. That's the code switch going from, you know, IPv4 to IPv6, and I want to make sure people understand what that means. So I'm looking forward to that, Daphne. I just nominated you.
Okay, good. Because I was like, is there an email I missed? What happened? When is this talk happening?
I mean, everything on the planet can have an IP address.
Yeah, we're gonna have to do a whole talk on internet governance at some point. But yeah,
are you doing the talk about that?
Oh, actually, yeah, I am. Right now, I'm in talks with NASA to present some programming that is focused on the future of the internet.
That's incredible, Ari. Congratulations.
Well, I mean, you know, we're just in talks right now. It's not official yet. But you know, these kinds of things happen because of conversations that I have with people like Daphne, who I met through people like Greg, and you know, and so it's like, but our effort, even in that conversation and what we were trying to do with putting together that particular program, was to not just educate people, but to educate people to be leaders in innovation and in futurism and, just guiding and exploring where we're going to go. Because everyone who decides to do something and it turns out to be innovative, they didn't know it was going to work. They just
Absolutely.
tried it, right? And so we have to really make a conscious effort to develop that foundation with our young people and with our business professionals, et cetera. So if you're like a person and you're going to your day-to-day job and it's mundane and you're bored and stuff like that, man, hit us up, because we're like finding opportunities all over the place, and we literally can't find enough people. We're having the same problem at BIT. We're having the same problem that technology companies are having all over the world, where we have so many opportunities to go after. We don't have enough people who are bold enough and passionate enough to chase it. So if you feel like that inkling of passion, when you're listening to this podcast, and let's do something. Let's do something about it.
Yeah. Absolutely. And speaking on that, I really like what you said, Ari, about the people who are innovative didn't know that at the time that their innovations were going to even be innovative. That's definitely something that I've learned even recently. And it's interesting. I came into this new job, and every day I feel so inspired by my coworkers. And they carry that. Part of the reason why, besides the fact that they're just great people, but part of the reason why is because they carry that kind of spirit with them. What's amazing is, they come in every day and they have no idea if they're going to be able to get something to work. No idea. You ask them at the beginning of the day and they're just like, well, I don't know. But they have the confidence in themselves and their capabilities to know that they'll find a way. And that if the way that they thought doesn't work, they'll find a different way. And if for some odd reason technically it doesn't make sense, then they'll find a way that does make sense. There's always that we're going to push forward regardless kind of mentality, because we're confident in our capabilities. And it's taught me to be that way. And this is something that I would just like to have the entire world start to feel. I love that kind of mentality. I love that spirit. I love that passion. And it's something that I'm trying to propagate out to other people. You just got to believe that. And once you believe it, then you can do it, Not to sound cliche, but
I'm glad that you said that, because I've run into so many people within our network that have this, what's that? There's an actual term for this. It's, I can't remember it. I know Scott Hanselman, he mentioned it, and it was something that was mentioned on our forums at one time. But it basically involves where people, they don't have this confidence in themselves, and they almost feel like they're like a poser.
Imposter.
Exactly. Imposter syndrome.
Yep.
And so I think what you just said is so real, because I've run into so many people and people that will confide in me kind of one-on-one. They won't put it out there, to the community and everything like that. And I'm just like, hey, you don't have to know everything. You just have to have that passion and go out and try to find it and try to find the answer. Nobody knows everything about
exactly.
Everything in technology. There was a young woman who approached me recently in a chat about security, and we were going back and forth about this and that. And she was saying oh, I don't think I know. And I'm like, look, you're not going to know everything. The thing about it is you have a whole community behind you, right? You got 1,400 plus members that are willing to support you in whatever you do. So her thing was security, and I'm like, I know two of the top security people who happen to be Black out there, right? And my thing was, hey, I'm going to connect you with these two guys right here, and they're going to get in. One of the guys answer immediately once I sent that email. Say, hey, here's a person right here that is looking to really get into information security. She has the passion. She, and she has the dedication, the motivation to do it. I want to hook her up with you because you're already established. You're already a veteran in the game, and the first person that I hooked her up with responded immediately. The second person responded a little bit later, but they were more than willing to help her out. And I think, more and more people need to understand that this is how you get better. This is the dynamics around what a community is supposed to be like. And Blacks in Technology is here to help support you in your efforts if that's what you want to do. If you want to get into information security, there's people on and within the community that can talk information security for days. Development, people on the site that can talk development, system administration, engineering, there's people in that realm as well. And we have to get beyond, thinking that we're not good enough, we don't know enough to actually get out there and compete, because we have the people here, we have the infrastructure and the support system here, we just have to utilize it.
Absolutely. And honestly, what taught me that lesson was Hacker School, because one of the main principles of Hacker School, it's interesting, it's a paradise for developers, but it also is a really wonderful, character building 3 months. And one of the main first principles that they told us day one, shed your ego. Just let it go. Shed your ego. Because at the end of the day, it's your ego that allows you to have imposter syndrome. It's your ego. It's funny, people associate ego with arrogance, right? They associate it with, some sort of bravado about a special topic or what have you. But ego is also what allows us to doubt ourselves. It's what allows us to make us feel like we're not allowed to ask questions, or we need to be an expert before we can seek help or anything like that. And what was really great is that, that environment encouraged me to go through this transformative process where basically, I was so scared of looking like an expert, but then, people finding out that, maybe I didn't actually know what I was talking about or whatever, imposter syndrome, right? And it's interesting because when I finally, took the time to actually start asking questions when I had them, doesn't matter if they sounded dumb, doesn't matter if they sounded like things I quote-unquote should have already known. At the end of the day, if I had questions, I should ask them. And once I started doing that, it became the most freeing experience for me, because then you start to realize that, one, people don't assume you're dumb when you ask questions. In fact, they assume that you probably, you know a lot of other stuff. They can separate that out, right? And she's like, oh, well, you just happen to have a question on this one thing. And two, it makes you look even more passionate about what you're doing, because all you're suggesting to them through asking that question is that you care. And once you show people that you care about what you're doing, then at that point, no one can stop you, right? And so being able to have the confidence to be like, you know what, I'm going to raise my hand and I'm going to admit to the world that I actually don't know this. That doesn't mean I'm dumb. That just means that I don't know this one particular thing and I want to get answers for it. And that's completely respectable. It's admirable even.
Yeah, I love how you just emphasized that, Daphne. This is why I love talking to Daphne. She's dope.
I love talking to y'all too.
I want to just add a little bit of piece onto that, is that, we have a tendency to seek out these formal engagements, right? So, for example, Greg gave his example of introducing someone to some, security professional. And, once someone has made an introduction over email, that can be a scary situation to be into.
True.
If you're that person who's being introduced, and you're like, okay, oh my gosh, now this person is responding to my email. What do I say? How do I move forward? What do I do? And sometimes it seems like we have this perception that it has to be this sort of formal thing, or how do you make it work? And what it really is just, it becomes informal. It becomes like an informal opportunity to develop a rapport with someone. And what changed my world has been changed a lot of times. But my world, 2 years ago, was a talk I was so fortunate to see where Melody Hobson, who is an incredible businesswoman, and she's the chair of DreamWorks Animation. She is awesome. She gave a talk, and she was talking about how she first got into finance, the finance world and investment. And she ran, I think it was Ariel Capital is what she ran. And she told her story about how she wanted to get into investing, and she found out where the person who ran that company had their breakfast and their coffee or whatever on Saturday. And so she would just go to that place on that Saturday, and she'd say, hey, do you mind if I sit with you? And she would sit with this person, and they would read their papers. And, you know, what happens when somebody reads a paper in a cafe? Like, they're reading a paper, and they come across something, and they want to talk to somebody about it. And they say, do you see this? You know, such and such is about to go IPO. Right? How crazy is that? What do you think about that? And now you have an opportunity to talk to somebody about something, and it's totally informal. There's no pressure. It's just coffee talk. And so when you get an introduction with someone, just go have coffee talk. Like, be informal and just develop a rapport and just see where it goes, and don't let it stress you out. Don't let it freak you out. And that's going to give you that edge of being able to have these conversations with people where you can't ask them questions where you might normally feel like an imposter because you don't know that person. But then you're able to start to ask these questions, and then that whole imposter syndrome stuff, it just starts to shed away. And you totally people as real people. And,
and what I learned, too, like, I think that's 100% right. And, like, you just learn through meeting different people. Like, you know, it's funny, like, they always say don't meet your heroes, right, because you're going to get disappointed. But I actually think that's false. I think you should meet your heroes because then it makes you realize that they're real people, too. They got their flaws, their insecurities. And you know what? Like, some of the most brilliant people that I've encountered in tech who have been role models to me and mentors to me also suffered from imposter syndrome, which shocked me because I was, you know, I was like, you are like the best of the best. You are amazing. Like, I want to be like you someday. And they're like, that's really funny. I would have never guessed that because there's still so much I don't know. Right. And so, like, it's really powerful to hear that from someone that you, like, put on a pedestal. But it's good, though, because it levels things out. Now it makes them seem like a real person, and it also makes it seem achievable to you. It's not some just like, you know, they're all the way in on Neptune, and you're like, I'm gonna never get there. That's just not possible. Now it's like, oh, we actually live on the same planet. No, we live in the same country. Actually, they live right down the block, and I could totally do that. Like, I could totally be that person, and I can get to that point. And it's really impossible. I really, like, it's powerful to know that and to understand that. And, like, through having these coffee talk conversations, like you were saying, you know, it's so important because you get to see them as a real person. You, like, you know, just see their flaws, but also see what makes them great and recognize that, like, you have those things too.
I got to piggyback on that too. Like, Steve Klobnik, actually, one of the famous Ruby guys out there, he has this talk, and what he said is kill your idols. And because, you know, once you can sort of remove people from this pedestal that you have them on in your mind, then exactly what Deborah said, like, then you can engage with them as a real person, and you can learn from them as a real person, and then you'll realize that they can learn from you as well, and then you'll
exactly
imposter syndrome. It just goes away. But I want to. We're like over time. We just got rambling. We just got on a tangent. I talked about the upcoming hackathon in Philadelphia. My Brother's Keeper, mbkhacks.com. Go to that website. Follow it on Twitter. Share it. We're currently actively right now looking for mentors to participate in this hackathon. We're looking for people to hack in the hackathon. But it's a youth-focused hackathon, like the hackathon was, like the hackathon for Black Male Achievement. But this one is so special, and it's so near and dear to my heart because what we're doing is we're taking these challenges that young men of color and men of color in general are facing, and we've seen things in the media recently like Ferguson and there's so many different incidents of this that's shown up in the media lately. But we know these problems very intimately as people of color. And so this hackathon is inviting people to come and to hack on these particular challenges. One of the areas of focus is masculinity. It's like, what is masculinity? What are some of the challenges that we face as a result of masculinity? What are some of the things that, our perception of masculinity, can help improve? And how technology fit into all these things? How do we support these incredible ideals and a vision for the future for our communities and for our people? And I don't just mean people of color. I mean people of color and inclusive of people all over the world. And so this hackathon is really going to be incredible. The one we did in Athens was awesome. The one we did in Oakland was awesome. And the one that happens in Philadelphia is going to be awesome. And I just want to make sure people know, if you're listening, go to the website, figure out how you can be there, because everyone who wasn't at SMPAC, who wasn't at Black Male Achievement Hack, oh man, they're so sad. They missed it, right? So don't miss this one. Figure out a way to get there, crowdfund, ask your friends, family, drive, whatever. Make sure you get there. It's like one of those.
When is it? When is this hackathon?
It's in November. Let me pull up the exact date so I don't get it wrong. It's November 14th to 16th in Philadelphia. And one of the things that has been just incredible about these hackathons is that because the focus is around helping young people develop and build their ideas, you see people in a light that you will not ever just normally see them in every day. And over 3 days, people getting together and hack, it becomes like this indescribable experience of community, because you've been in a room with like 100 people for 3 days. And some people might have had like breakdowns. Some people might have had like celebrations. Some people might have lost family members in that weekend. Like, there's all the things that happen in community are going to happen over the course of those 3 days. But also, one thing that's going to happen over the course of those 3 days is every team is going to accomplish something incredible. And then we're all going to get up and celebrate that together. And so it's truly like a coming-of-age experience that is had by the young people who participate. Just do a Twitter search on it to see what some of the kids who participated in SMPAC are doing now. Or Black Male Achievement. Like, just see what they're doing now, because it's incredible. And, so just make sure you get on it. Make sure you share it with other people. Tell people about it, because this movement has a life of its own. And the reason why it has a life of its own is because of the people who are being involved and who are pushing it forward and who are, really just sort of sharing the gospel about hackathons with our people. So I really am seeing that the world is changing, and the world is changing because we are making a conscious effort to be that change that we want to see in the world. And I'm just so excited about it. So I hope to see you guys there.
Definitely.
They're going to be presenting at Dreamforce. Actually, Kalima Triforce is going to be presenting at Dreamforce, which is the largest technology conference in the world, put on by the most innovative company in the world 4 years in a row, as said by Forbes magazine. And they're going to be talking about Kino Labs and its mission, and Yes We Code and the work that they've done. And it's just going to be incredible.
Speaking of that, Mary Scotton from Dreamforce is going to be on a podcast in a couple of weeks, October 2nd?
I can't wait. It's going to be great.
We're going to be talking about diversity at tech conferences and a whole bunch of other stuff, and that should be nice. When are we going to get Kalima on it? That's who we need to get on a podcast, Kalima.
Yeah, man. We should get Kalima on. Before I get Kalima on, though, I want to get some of the young people who have participated, because Kalima is really interesting and he's awesome. But these young people, man, these kids, man, woo, that's too exciting. That's too exciting. So let's get them both on. The
last time we had
who did his crowdfunding to get to Essence Festival. Let's get him on before the hackathon in November, and let's get Kalima on afterwards to recap it.
Nice. Okay, I'm down with that, because the last time we had the young people on the show, I mean, it was like one of our highest viewed, highest listened to shows. So yeah, we definitely need to get them on and let them tell their story, let them tell us about their experiences with the hackathon.
Yeah.
I think that would be great. What else is going on? We talked about upcoming conferences. Oh, I didn't mention DerbyCon. DerbyCon, I'll actually be at DerbyCon right after PuppetCon.
This call is being recorded.
Okay. What is that noise? So the weekend, I think it starts like the 25th or the 26th of September is DerbyCon. It's a information security conference being held in Louisville, Kentucky. So I will be at DerbyCon, checking in there and checking out the talks and everything like that. It's actually where I met one of the guys I recommended to the one woman who wanted to get into information security, Caleb Charles. He was actually there at DerbyCon. He actually has a website called securityorb.com. It's a information security website that he runs, and he was at DerbyCon, and that's where I met him. DerbyCon is I think it's like in the third or fourth year. Started out very small in Louisville, Kentucky, and it's grown. It's huge now. A lot of information security professionals will be at that conference, so that's where I'll be. One of my friends who works at Facebook now, who's at information security. Dual core, exactly. He's an information security expert. He gave a talk a couple of years ago. I don't know if he gave a talk last year.
It was 2 years ago because I went to it.
Oh, okay, yeah. He'll be there, and that's who I'll be hanging out with. I'll actually be staying at his place in San Fran when I get there on Saturday. He's from Cincinnati. He migrated out to San Francisco. That's where he's at now on Facebook, and so should be fun times. So DerbyCon Louisville, I think it starts September 25th through whatever that Sunday is, 28th or 29th or something like that. So that'll be pretty fun. What else is going on?
Oh, did we talk about the jobs boards?
No, we didn't.
Oh yeah, the jobs boards are live and kicking. So so share the word about the jobs boards on Bit, and also if you have companies, you have relationships in different tech companies, feel free to reach out to them on our behalf and let them know about our jobs boards and that they should be posting them there to help this search for diverse talent. You're an ally, so leverage us.
Exactly. I mean, it's funny. I don't know why it took so long for us to get our jobs board up and running, but it is here now. We have had inquiries in the past where companies have approached us about posting jobs to Blacks in Technology to reach out to our network, and at the time it was just a thing of not having enough resources in place to do it, and now that we do, we have companies approaching us, and now we have jobs out there for people, and I think it's a great thing because companies like Puppet Labs, who recently signed on to post jobs to our website. We're also in talks with a few other companies to post jobs to the website. This is a great thing. some will have functionality where users will be able to upload their resumes and things like that. People will be able to search the database for specific candidates to fill positions. So definitely check out the jobs board. You go to our homepage, you see jobs at the top, click on it, see all the jobs that are posted. More jobs are coming or on the way. And I think it's a great thing moving forward. And, in the future we'll have more and more jobs, more and more organizations seeking to, diversify their workplace, and it'll be a great thing for everybody.
Yeah. So closing words.
Jackie? I'll just say that it's been great being back, and thank you so much, both of you, for inviting me to this podcast. It's been awesome just chatting with you all, and it's been good. And it's nice to just catch up, hear what's going on and how things are going elsewhere in the world. I've been in a little bit of an Oakland bubble, so it's nice to hear about all the awesome things happening elsewhere.
We need to hook up while I'm out there, Daphne. We need to have. I don't really drink coffee, but I can get something.
We can do tea. Do you like tea? Tea's awesome.
Oh, yeah, I can do tea. I get in on Saturday. I leave on Thursday, so I'll be there for 4 or 5 days.
Okay, what kind of time?
Yeah.
Cool.
Exactly. As far as what concerns with Bit, we're growing. We're looking for people to help out. We're looking for contributors, for writers, for the blog, for high quality content. We're looking for graphics design. We're going to put out a job posting pretty soon for somebody to help us with some designs, everything like that. We're looking for development talent as well to help with the site. So we'll have those job postings out there pretty soon. We're just looking to really grow and to expand and try to make Bit everything that people want it to be. So that's going on.
Everything.
What about you?
Reality. I keep my mind on everything, because everything ain't always everything, but everything that you see ain't reality.
Who the heck is that?
Tweet us if you know that lyric.
I don't even know it. I'm like a hip hop head. Now you. Okay.
But yeah, no, this has been a pleasure. I was so glad to, be able to just sit here and just, kick it with you guys and reflect and talk and and all that kind of stuff. And thanks to our listeners. Shout out to our listeners for joining us. Week after week, month after month, year after year. Just advocating for this mission and being a part of this incredible movement. And shout out to Jewel out there, wherever you are in the Netherlands. What up, Jewel? And she comes live and direct with the Founders Hours. Y'all heard from her lately. So shout out to Jewel. And yeah, man, I'm out. I'm about to go hit the city, St. Louis. All right.
That's cool.
Me too. I'm also out. But it's been awesome talking to you guys, and looking forward to the next time.
Right.
Anytime, Daphne, you want to come on the show, you want to kick it with us, you're more than welcome. We had a great time.
Thank you. Cool.
In 2 weeks, we're going to have Mary Scott on the show. We're going to be talking about diversity technology conferences. We had one a few weeks ago with Brian from ProfitCon, but we're going to have another one. We're going to talk about Dreamforce. So tune in 2 weeks. I think it's October 2nd, not the 7th, the 2nd. So tune in 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, same bit time, same bit channel.
Love it.
Cool.
All right. Take care, everybody. Thanks a lot.
Bye-bye. Take care.
Blacks in Technology.
Blacks in technology. Blacks in technology. Blacks in technology. Blacks in technology. Blacks in technology.